Suave.
I've been in my bag for a while, I'm invincible. Story of a young boss, grinding shit get critical. Calling on my bros one time, cause you special. I had some hoop dreams of right rounds for my mentor. Every target that I shoot is on point like a pencil. Different road, changed relationships, I'm so sorry. Came up from the trenches and I made it, I say hardly. Now
BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all of your basketball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting, contests, and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile devices. Head to BetOnline today to become part of the team, and remember to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All righty, guys, we are back with another episode of the What's in Your Bag podcast presented by BetOnline. I'm your host, Andrew Robinson, and as you guys can see, man, we have a special guest today. But before we introduce our special guest, man, and give my guy the proper introduction that he deserves, we got to get the business out of the way, man. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and stop what you're doing. Tap that subscribe button. It goes a long way. Give us a thumbs up. Drop some feedback. Drop a comment. You know what I mean? If you're hearing us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you hear your podcast, man, give us a 5-star rating. Give us some feedback. It goes a long way, man. That was my guy, Pull Up Tay, on the intro. It's going to be him on the outro as well. Make sure you guys show him some love, man. One of the hottest up-and-coming artists out of the DMV. Now, with that being said, man, it's time to introduce our special guest today, man. This is somebody who I had the pleasure of meeting just recently at All-Star Weekend out in cold-ass, brick-ass Indianapolis. We had a great time, man, chopping it up, man, and getting to know my guy. But we are pleased and honored to be joined by Clifford Taylor, man. Clifford is somebody who, as you guys know, man, social media extraordinaire, content king, former football player at University of Florida, now turned creator, host, actor, et cetera, man. But oh yeah, wait, and the originator of the viral meme, a win is a win. A win is a win. My God, Cliff, man, that's how you win the podcast today, my boy.
What's going on, man? Appreciate you for having me, dog. Appreciate you.
No
that
doubt.
intro was heartwarming, man.
Nah, man. Hey, listen, man. Flowers, man. Flowers all day, man. But like I said, man, we got to connect that All-Star Weekend. I feel like you and me both. As of this recording, it's Wednesday, and I'm still recovering. Like my body is 100% still trying to take back. Like I usually get up at 5:30 in the morning to work out and lift and go to the gym, get my shots up. You know what I mean? And bro, I was like, I got back and I feel like it was like 11:30 last night. I got hit with a ton of bricks. I said, bro, there's no way I can wake up. I gotta still, you know what I mean? So how are you feeling, bro? How is your body? How's the mental, man? How are you recovering from the weekend? Because you was out there a lot longer than me. I only did 2 days out there, man. You did about 5. So
Man, well, I gotta tell you, one, I'm fine now. I'm fine now. Like my whole Tuesday was solidified strictly for rest. But man, like that whole week. But the good thing about it was we were doing so many different things every single day. So it wasn't like we were just staying, just hostile or in the crib the whole time. So we were doing stuff, and it was genuinely a lot of fun. I got to like hoop a little bit because hoops is where it's at. Like that was my first love, man. So.
yeah.
We spoke a couple panels, did a couple of events, a couple of activations, meet and greets, things like that. So it was definitely a lot, but I'm glad to say that I got my first one out the way. So, moving forward, I'm used to it. So I'm like, all right, we got so-and-so today, cool. So-and-so today, cool. After party today, all right, cool. I'm mentally in tune with what's gonna happen. So yeah, man. So All-Star weekend, I came back late. I mean, just the flights back on Sunday, man. Like my connection from Indy to Houston was fine. And then my crib here in Orlando, man, my flight on Houston, my first plane, they were like, something's wrong with the light on the plane. We're gonna talk to maintenance. And you know how that goes. Maintenance is like at least 30-minute wait. So
Easy.
30, 40 minutes go by and they're like, okay, guys, if you want to stretch, get off the plane. So I'm like, okay, everybody go on another plane. That's just how I'm thinking. And sure enough, I was right. So we got to go to a whole other terminal which was like a 15-minute walk alone. And so that plane ended up just fine. But yeah, I got home about like an hour or so later than I expected. But yeah, as soon as I got in, dog, like I just put my bags down. I just went to sleep, dog. I was just so out of it. I'm like, yeah, dog, I need my rest. But yeah, now, like I said, we good, man. My voice is still kind of gone from all the music, all the jamming, but it's slowly but surely coming back for sure.
Facts. Now, what was your thoughts on the parties of the weekend, man? 'Cause there was a lot going on, man. I first seen you at the Adidas party Friday night. That drink was
Yeah,
popping. I would say they had some good music in there too. I was surprised for a corporate party.
yeah.
That drink was kind of live in there. But obviously the after hours events, it was a lot going on, man. So what were your thoughts on, obviously we all came there to work, network, you know what I mean? But I feel like All-Star Weekend, people want, you know what I'm saying? They always know it's the nighttime parties that get activated. You know what I mean? So we'll get thoughts on the fun stuff going on throughout the weekend.
Man, it's one of those things where and unfortunately my agent Michael Raymond, he was with there with me the whole time. And so a little backstory. So like I was like his first creator that he signed back in 2021. And so we would be at these Adidas, these Say Less parties, and we would just sort of like look around just and like he like 6'6" too. So we would just stand and look
Bro,
around.
I was talking to bro. We eye to eye. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like we would just look at this I was just looking at him and be like, bro, like can you believe this? Like, can you believe like we're at an Adidas party, we're at a party with all these players, all these celebs, and sure enough, he's like, of course I did. Now me, I'm like, nah, like I would have never expected this, man. But one thing I would say that I learned this weekend, unfortunately, I can't party with athletes, dog. I can't do it. I can't do it, bro. It was like, man, there were so many girls I was talking to. Like there was this one girl, beautiful curly haired girl, man. She was like, I think she was like around my age, 24. And so we was talking for like 5-10 minutes. And then so she was like, I'm about to go run. And she goes, last thing she tells me, she's like, but if you see Drake, let me know. I'm like, one, why the hell would I know where Drake is at? Two, why would I even care where Drake is at when I'm at a party? Granted, there's a whole lot of other guys trying to, connect as well. But it's like, dog, it's like, yo, man, why would I tell you where another dude is at? You know what I'm saying? Like focus, like focus, lock in, peak game, lock in. But no, other than that, though, like meeting some of these players, like these OGs, man. I met like Steven Jackson, Al Harrington, like the OG Pacers, man. So like,
Oh, gee.
I met Ron Artest's son, who looked just like him,
Farmer,
and
yeah.
who
Yeah.
looked
My
just
boy.
like him. And then I bumped into dudes like you saw Damian, you saw CJ McCollum, Boogie Cousins was everywhere. The Boogie
Facts.
Cousins was everywhere. I met a couple of guys from AMP Davis agent. Man, shout out my boy Kai, man. They did him dirty in that celeb game. But yeah, no, just being in that different atmosphere. Oh, Joe can't forget Joakim Noah. I met Joakim Noah too, but
Yeah.
just being in that atmosphere, it was definitely like one, it was humbling. It was really dope. And it's like for me, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, next time I go to these parties, I want to make sure that like, yo, they like one, they recognize like who I am. So that just kind of gave me the sense of like we still got some work to do.
Needless to say, man, All-Star Weekend was a great one. This is my first one and your first one too, man. So it's dope to be able to have this experience with somebody, man, and have that mutual understanding, man. But one thing I will say, I can count on one hand, literally, I can count on one hand the amount of times I ate the entire weekend. And I can count on one hand the amount of hours that I was only there for 2 days. So
Right.
I was one night, say last night at the Vibes. I think I went to bed at like 6:30. Woke up at like
Mhm.
8 the next day to go to some event in the morning. It was like a panel. Same thing happened on Saturday night. I went to go hoop the next day. At that, it was at Bristol Studios run on Sunday. I'm like, bro, I can
Yeah.
count on one hand. I didn't take no naps. Like I was boom, boom,
Right.
boom,
Oh
boom. I'm
man.
like, bro, I can count on one hand the amount of times I ate and the amount of one I count on one hand the amount of hours that I slept over the
Yeah.
weekend. Yeah, it was nuts. And I think you know my man too, my man Trey Fields. He just
Details.
started.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. I posted my flick the other day. It was funny because he went to the Sunday run with me. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I haven't ate since 3 o'clock yesterday, bro. I don't know how I'm about to hoop. I've been drinking. He gave me a blueberry muffin. So he commented under my
Mhm.
flick. He was like, man, if only they knew you did all this on one blueberry muffin. I was like, Slim, if only they knew. Like, I was not eating, bro. I went 22 hours with no
Yeah.
food, bro.
And
No
that
food.
man. Yeah, that whole like I've been doing like the whole intermittent fasting, which means you eat from like 12 to 8, which is fine for me because I first of all I wake up at like 9 anyway.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that whole 48-hour fasting thing that they doing now, can't do that. I can't do that. Nah, I can't do it.
Nah, it was nuts, man. But nah, man, All-Star weekend, first All-Star weekend in the books, man, and many more to come, man. I have to catch you next year in the Bay. You know what I mean? Running back 2 times. Running back two.
Oh, yeah, but see, that's my thing. So it's like the next two are in the Bay in LA. Imagine how wild these girls gonna be. In first of all, one is California to begin with. Two, it's in San Francisco and Los Angeles, dog. Like we saw a glimpse in Indianapolis. Imagine how they're gonna be like, bro. We might not even get in these bad boys, dog. They're
Nah,
gonna be like,
flag, you might be slow.
it was crazy because like we went to this and see, man, we went to so many events. I forgot who it was with. But the girl at the front, she was like, you got 100K? And I was like, 100K bands? She was like, no, like 100K, like, and I was like, why? Like, I do, but I was like, why does that matter? She was like, yeah, they're trying to keep it like blah 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 blah. So man, so we all end up getting in here, and it's like, it's some like middle-aged white dudes, I'm like, I know for a fact they ain't got, like, I ain't even trying to hate, but I'm like, they probably don't even know what Instagram, Twitter, they probably don't even know what that is, nor do they care.
Right.
So it was like, man, it was like levels to this stuff. And that part, that's the only part I didn't like is because they look at you, they don't look at you at the person, they look at you as just like a figure in the number. So that part I didn't like. But yeah, other than that, for the most part, it was dope. But yeah, the Bay, oh yeah, I'll be on the Bay. LA TBD, man. Because first of all, that traffic alone is already bad.
Oh my God, it's gonna be insane.
It's already bad. And then the Uber's probably gonna triple what they were out here in Indy. Because they weren't even that bad out here in Indy, but they probably gonna triple. So,
LA is not walkable. And LA is not walkable. We trying to go at all. Yeah, that might be like you got a cop of damn, now ain't nobody trying to drive. Yeah, I don't know. I will say think about it though. If they would have in LA, like because LA is already where everybody is at, let's say it's an event, like whether it's an after party or all-star weekend event, and God forbid you don't get in, you could always parlay it, but I'm gonna just go to Nice Guy. You still have some option. You could go to like little Delilah's or something like that, and you still end up around some, you know what I mean, some good vibes. So it's like there are backup plans, as opposed to if you're in like Salt Lake City where it was last year, or if you're in Indy, and if you don't get into the main events,
it's like
ain't really going on.
LA, now what?
LA, it's always something going on, All-Star weekend or not. If it's a weekend or Friday night or Saturday night, all right, this event, it's all good. I might have the next joint. Same motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be determined, man. To be determined, man. But one thing I do know, it's only up from here. It's only up from here, man. But I want to get into your story, man, because you have one of the craziest stories that I've heard, man. And that's from listening to you speak at the mental health panel to doing a little bit of research on my own. And first thing I want to ask you, right? Because we mentioned this a little bit as far as the All-Star weekend stuff. We talk about you went to a hoop event, how hooping was your first love, but you actually played basketball at Olympic down in North Carolina. You know what I mean? He was getting it in. And then you decided to just quit basketball, pursue football, and walk on at the University of Florida. So my first question for you is talk to me about them basketball days, right? Growing up hooping. Me and Trey always debate about this, man, because he said Charlotte is better than I'm a DMV guy, Maryland through and through, Quinn Cook, KD, Jeremy Grant. We got the list goes on and on. We can get into it, but Charlotte, the hoop state, rightfully so. You guys have a lot of hoopers down there. Basketball is real big down there in North Carolina. So I just want to know for you, was when you were growing up, was it always like hoop dreams? I want to get to the league growing up down there, and then when did that switch happen where it's like, nah, I'm about to go play football? You know what I mean? Walk me through that.
Yeah, so first of all, basketball, that's been in my life. It still is in my life, since I was like 4, since I was 5. So it was crazy because my family, fortunately, like, we grew up in like a gated area. So the whole thought of like AAU was like, I don't want to say foreign to us, but foreign to us. We were just playing like, rec ball. So, I'm thinking like, yo, like I'm cooking in rec. I'm about to go to the league, man. Like, so once I hit like 9 or 10 and I started playing AAU, and I was seeing dudes my age, but like 10 inches taller than me. I'm like, oh, damn, like this ain't really what it seems. So that's when I really started like shifting into a new gear. I'm like, yo, I gotta tighten up. I gotta like start hooping, training, doing what I need to do. So middle school basketball that came and went, and high school ball that's when it really kicked in. Like AAU was playing for like the Charlotte Nets. Had a brief stint with Team Charlotte, but that team was like loaded. I mean, I'm sure you know Ray John Tucker. He was on the older team. That was to this day, that's probably the bounciest man I've ever seen in person.
Be
I mean, Ray
flying.
John Tucker, man, I'm talking about Ray John would take off from the free throw line. I'm talking about a tomahawk from the free throw line. I was just like, yo, and I actually got a crazy story. So I was there. This is one of the most iconic AAU dunks ever. It was back in, I want to say 2015 or 2016. And it was at Bob Gibbons. It was at Bob Gibbons in Georgia. And Antonio Blakeney, he went like coast to coast and literally like just pounded that thing back. And bro, they stopped the game. The game stopped for like 5 minutes because everybody was just like on the court, just like reacting and stuff like that. So seeing stuff like that made me realize I'm like, one, I gotta get some more athleticism because I'm more of like a back to basket kind of guy, like a Tim Duncan, two-hand flush, if you will.
Yeah.
If I'm really feeling it, I might get you a tomahawk if I'm like really feeling it. But I was always a big man. Even at 6'6", they had me playing center, so that was just always my thing. And so I kind of learned like once my junior year started that okay, like college basketball isn't looking too ideal, at least for me, because like they got me out here playing center. I'm not playing no guard. And if it does work out, D2, D3, I'm cool. So growing up, I was a Florida fan though. My dad went there, aunts, uncles, cousins, like you name it, they all were Gators. So I grew up, with the Tim Tebows, the Joakim Noahs, Al Horfords, Corey Brewers, guys like that. So it was like glory days. So I always wanted to go to Florida. So fortunately, I was very book smart in high school. So I was able to, do the whole basketball thing, all conference thing. And then I got accepted to Florida for academics. So my instant mind is like, okay, if worst come to worst, because I know I'm not gonna get offered. The worst come to worst, I'm gonna just try to walk on. The most D1 contacts I had was with Clemson and West Virginia. That was it. Everything else was like D2, D3, and those visits were really cool. But for me, I honestly I loved Florida so much at that time. I was just like, okay, I'll just go to Florida, test my luck, walking on. So everything was looking good because I actually was able to get a hold of one of the assistant coaches at the time who now coaches FAU, Dusty May. And so that whole summer was just training, working on my handles, working on my athleticism, just doing all that good stuff. And so fast forward going into my freshman year, and I hit him up, and he's like nowhere to be found. And the reason why he was nowhere to be found was because I didn't realize that he took a job at FAU. So I was like, oh, here I am doing because the whole thing in high school, no social media, and what I'm saying, you got to keep your focus. So I didn't know till I got there, and so I was like, oh, dang, like, so what do I do now? So my freshman year, I was just like, you know what, I'll do intramural basketball, and I'll call it a year. So it was definitely a culture shock because it was like my first year not playing like organized sports. Because like you talking about all the way back from like late elementary school to like high school was like that's all I did. I played sports, and so um like I said, like my Charlotte days, like my last year was like unforgettable. Coach Barrington Terry, he actually coached Kennedy Meeks, who was at UNC, and he came and like I mean, he taught me what real defense was. Like I always thought I was a good defender, but man, there were some days where we would do no offense, just straight defense. So I really I appreciate it a lot more now, especially like being out of the game. But kind of going back to the whole college thing. So freshman year, just did intramurals, and then my sophomore year, we decided to do intramural basketball and flag football because we're like, yo, we'll just get our cardio in. That's all we were thinking about, cardio. Like, yo, let's get it. So of course, all of us were like 6'2", 6'3", 6'5", 6'6". So we're just torching everybody, just torching everybody. So one night I had like 4 or 5 touchdowns, I don't remember. And one of my good friends now, who was a player, Robert Clay, he asked me if I ever thought about playing. Kind of like how an old coach would be like, yo, you want to be on the football team? It was kind of like that. So I told him straight up, I was like, nah, dog, I ain't never played football. Like the only football I've ever done was like during like recess or like, in the backyard or something like that for fun. That was the most I ever did. So he pretty much gave me the whole spiel about like, yeah, I put on so and so amount of muscle. I built so many connections through this experience, and I was like, I was like, well, I have been trying to, get muscle because at this time, man, I'm like 190, 200 on a good day, dog. So he pretty much gave me the spiel, and honestly, I kind of let it go through one ear and out the other because it's like it's football, man. I'm sick with hoops, dog. So that week, Florida was playing LSU, and that was the year before they won the Natty. So that was when Burrow, Chase, and Jefferson first got there. So we ended up beating them, which was like a huge deal for us back then. And so I just kind of did like a glance around the stadium, and I was just like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. If I don't make it, at least I can say I tried. But if I do, it'll be a hell of a story. So from that day, I just started going to the gym, just like taking my protein, lifting, running, whatever I needed to do. I got in contact with like, trainers in the Gainesville area. Like I was hustling, man. Like I was really hustling. And so was finally able to get some contacts within the Florida staff, and they always kept me in the loop. Shout out to them. And it's funny. So one of the guys asked me if I had any film. So I was like, this is where it stops. This is where the boat stops. So I was like, okay, do I cap and say I got film? I just ain't had the cameras on like flight, or do I tell them I've never played? I got football, I got basketball highlights to show my athleticism. I was like, you know what? Let's do that. The worst thing that happens is, like I said, I don't make it. So of course I send him my basketball stuff, and he was like, wow. And I was like, oh snap, okay, that worked. And then he let me know about tryout info, the meetings and all that. So I'm thinking it's gonna be like 100 people deep in here. Man, I could probably count on my finger how many people were in this meeting. So I was like, okay, my chances of making it are a little better, a little better. So, you had to get the whole physical, EKG, the blood test, and all that good stuff. So that was fine. They gave us a week for that. And then we try out. It's only 4 of us. So I'm like, oh, this about to be. And so I never forget the first thing they told us. It was like, yeah, we're in the dead period, and so you can't show anything as far as like your hands catching, nothing but a ball, basically, because like the players they can only do conditioning, agility. So I'm like, oh, conditioning and agility. I'm like, that's all we do in basketball. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. So man, it was like 45 minutes to an hour. I was just like, I was so dramatic. I was like, like I was fine. The whole time I was fine. I'm like, man, the other dudes, they were like panting, they were huffing and puffing. I'm like, shoot, man, I got this in a bag. So sure enough, they're like, at the end, they're like, yo, we would love to have you. We're gonna have you, but they're like, but your schedule kills you. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And they were just like, basically, the time that I have class is the time that they have, spring ball meetings and all that. So I was like, so what does that mean? And so they're like, you'll be with us. You'll just have to wait till the summer. So I'm like, damn, man. So it's like, and that's like 2 or 3 more months away. So I'm like, they gonna forget about me, dog. Like they gonna forget. And so March goes by, April, May, nothing. And then in June, I get that call. I get a call from the personnel guy, and he's like, hey, you ready to go? And I was fresh out of a nap. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. So that day I get my team physicals, my EKGs, they do all that good stuff. And then next thing you know, I'm in here and I'm seeing guys like Freddie Swain, Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, all these guys. And I'm like, well, I guess we teammates now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess we teammates now. So yeah, I mean, they just threw me in the fire right away. And then watching see, in basketball and football, the lifting is so different. So watching these guys lift 225 with ease, I was like, oh, I got some real work to do. Like I was over here just like doing 185, maybe 200 if I'm really feeling it. But it's like they doing 225 with ease. So I was like, all right, I really gotta adapt. But man, tell you what, man, when I saw them playbooks, dog, it was like Morse code, dog. So like for me, I'm like, dog, what's your version of a pin down, dog?
Right.
What's your version of a pin down, man? Like, give me 1 through like what we got, dog. But yeah, man, that playbook was like Morse code, man. It was like PlayStation cheat codes. So man, it took me like a good like I'd say half a year to finally figure it out. But man, yeah, that training camp, man. Oh my God, it was like, man, you want to talk about humbling? I was like, I mean, the whole time I was like, what am I in? What am I getting into? What am I getting into? Like, what is this? Like what is going on? But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I done did 4 to 5 months of just like lifting, training with trainers. I'm like, I'm not giving up like now. I'm not doing that. Season about to start, man. I already took my media day photos. I'm not giving up now. So yeah, went through camp. It was a breeze. My junior year, we went to the Orange Bowl, won it. And then around the Orange Bowl was when I made my first TikTok video and it blew up. And so me at the time, I'm like, I wasn't thinking about doing social media. I was just like, oh, this is like just a one-hit wonder, cool. I let it sit for like a month. Did another one, went viral. Did another one, went viral. Did another one and went viral. And then when COVID happened, that just opened the gateway for everybody. So that's when I just started making videos just like every single day. And then yeah, from like since like November, December of 2019 till now, I've just been rocking. So yeah, it's a definitely a very bizarre experience, but man, I wouldn't change it for a thing because you know how it is when you get your media day photos and you post them bad boys. Hey,
Oh, yeah.
man, hey.
Nah, that's a fact, bro. And I remember I mentioned this previously. You were like, yo, without like Coach Mullins, without University of Florida, like the opportunities that I had to be a part of that program, there would be no Clifford like the social media guy that you all know today. You know what I mean? So just talk about, because I feel like a lot of people don't really understand. A lot of athletes, I would say, right? A lot of athletes, and this is speaking from experience. Like I'm still playing to this day, and it's like I'll talk to some of my teammates or oh, yo, man, like post, bro, like make content. Like, you don't understand the unique opportunity you have as an athlete, bro. So many people want to see what it's like on day-to-day life, or just especially playing at a school like Florida, top of the line. I never even been to y'all campus, but I already know I be seeing them SEC facilities, the locker room, the campus, like everything is crazy, bro. You know what I mean? So just talk about for you being a player and the mindset that you had to like, hold on, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I'm an athlete. Yeah, I'm here on the football team with all these guys. It's cool. But like, nah, let me document this and be able to like take advantage of the place that I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so in all honesty, like when I first started making videos, for me it was never really about that. For me, it was just like something fun that was on the side. It was growing so rapidly fast. People don't realize like creating content and growth back in the day was so much easier compared to now. Now you got billions of users doing the whole TikTok, Instagram thing. Like it's hard now. Like it really is. But yeah, like at the beginning, I wasn't even gunning for that. It was just like a hobby. And then I'll never forget my advisor, Dr. Allison Forrest, she pretty much said it was like, yo, like, have you ever thought about doing this as a career? And I said, in all honesty, like, nah, I was just because like my major is graphic design. So I was thinking like I was gonna be in sports media anyway, but more on the creative side.
Right.
And so she said if I were you, I would keep posting, doing what you're doing. And I was like, why? And she was like, because the money is gonna start brewing into this outlet in this department. And I was like, all right. So fortunately I took her advice. And so I was just creating. That's when I really started shifting gears and like started creating for a purpose rather than just doing it for fun. And then I really started kicking it into high gear when I started getting in contact with TikTok reps. When I started talking to them, they started giving me insights and advice because like they don't just give that to anyone. So the fact that they were giving me some insights to me, it was like, oh, okay, like they believe in what I got going on. So from that point, I would say that was beginning of my senior season. And then that's when I really started just pushing like my walk-on story, my walk-on experiences, a little beat. I wouldn't even say BCS because it's like nowadays these cats are showing everything. At the time, I was the most I was showing was the nameplate on my locker. That was probably the most I showed because it was like if I show too much and it gets out, you're gone. You're gonna get kicked off. So like they always say, like keep the main thing the main thing. Keep this stuff like discreet and quiet. So I never showed that much. And so once my college career ended, that's when I was like, okay, I got a decision to make. Am I gonna create content or am I gonna work in sports media? And so it was one of those things that I honestly prayed about, talked with my advisors about, and I was like, you know what? Let me work in sports media so I can get a grasp of what that's like. So the elements that I learned from that experience, I can implement into my personal content. So fortunately, it all worked out because I started with a little intern, a 6-week program with Wilson, and then they had some connects with the LA Rams. So I ended up working for the Rams for a year. Matter of fact, the year that they won the Super Bowl was the year I worked for them, which was really dope. And then after that, ended up working for the NBA for a year. And while I was doing all this, they allowed me to do my personal stuff because like I always made sure that my work stuff was done first, and then I do my personal stuff, like my skits, my content, my meme generated stuff. And then it really shifted, I would say, like around this time last year when I started getting endorsement deals and they were actually a quote unquote conflict of interest with the league. That's that I never wanted to leave the league. So that's why it was like so refreshing to see some of my old coworkers this past weekend. Because like I never wanted to leave the league because like they allowed me to create and also create first of all, creating for the NBA. For me, it was one of those things where it's like I love basketball so much, and I was sort of like returning to the game. Like I would have done that stuff for free, in all honesty. Like that whole experience was just like unbelievable. And then I shifted it into gear, got my LLC, the Clifford show last year. And that's when it really just like took a notch. And then of course I set the whole a win is a win thing. And it's amazing how that stuff happens on, accident. Like I wasn't gunning for like that to be a trending sound. It was just something, it was just a situation that happened. Florida barely won a game that they should have, blew this team out. And I was just like, a win is a win. And instead of my audience laughing at me, I would do the laughing for them. I was just sort of like thinking ahead, and so it just blew up. And then lo and behold, one day I'm with my homeboys and I'm watching the Lakers. It's like when they were like 0-12. You remember like to start the season last year. So he's one of my boys now. He said he's gonna put me in his video, but my boy Brock Hunnis, who does the trend sound, like saying he's a pretender. I'm out here scoring. Where's the defender? So it just spewed out. I was like, man, this is trash. The Lakers need a center. And then my homeboy started dying. And I was just like, at first, I'm like, I didn't think it was that funny. I was just like, messing around. They're like, yo, you gotta do something with that. So there was a guy actually who had already said it, but then I noticed he stopped doing it. So respectfully, I'm like, yo, I DM'd him. Cause I think the first few ones I did was like, I'm a transfer, tender, defender, like whatever the case was. So I DM'd the guy and I'm like, yo, I was like, yo, why'd you stop doing it? And he was like, man, I just got tired of it. I'm like, dude, you got to keep this thing going. Like, it's dope, dude. Oh God, I'm blanking on this. I think his name's like Kane. Yeah, his name's Kane, Caine. And so I asked him, I was like, dude, I was like, yo, you cool if I start doing it? And he was like, yeah, go for it. And I started doing it, and then it just like, bro, it just took a life of its own. Like at that point, I had like 300. Then you look, you're at 400. Then you're at 500K, and 6, and 7, and 8, and 9. And I was like, yo, I might hit because like last year 500K was my goal. And when I hit that in January, I was like, all right, I'm chilling. I'm chilling. But then when I was like 6, 7, yo, I'm at 8. No, I gotta keep this thing going. I gotta keep it going. I gotta keep this thing going. So I got to like 995, I think. And then I did a video where it was like when I'm like 5K away. And then my homeboys that I was with that week, it was a little bro trip to South Florida. He was like, dude, you're at 998. So we're like sprinting to our Airbnb. We're like, yo, we got to set up the computer. We got to set up the live stream. We got to do one of the things where it's like, where they show like the follower count and it just goes up. It's like, yo, we got to do that. So we literally come in, set it down in like a matter of a minute. And so, bro, when it happened, when I tell you, like, those were natural tears, bro. One, because I never ever thought I would hit a mill ever, like ever. And two, I knew from that moment forward, the bag was going to be different. The bag was going to be completely different. Because one thing I had always heard from my peers who are in the millions is like a lot of these brands, like they could care less about the quality of your content. It's more about the quantity of followers. So when I was like, all right, we'll see how that works out for me. About 2 days later, I had like a $40,000 deal with Rain Energy. So I was like, dang, they were not kidding. And so I've been at it, ever since. Because like honestly, like working in sports and watching like my peers just like go to all these events, all that stuff, I got kind of jealous. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, damn, I need to get back in the game. And so haven't looked back since. And that's why your boy was at, All-Star weekend. And now we just gonna keep it moving.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I got you said a lot there that we're going to circle back on. We're going to circle back on. But the first thing I want to circle back on is I read a story that you got that Rams opportunity by responding to a tweet with the eye
Yep.
emoji.
Yep.
And we need the backstory with that because I feel like being able to secure the bag from a corporate opportunity by responding to a tweet with the eye emojis and that opportunity actually coming to fruition is crazy. So
Yeah.
can you give us the rundown on that?
Yeah, man. So I think it was like a day or so after my 6-week program with Wilson ended. And so I just saw, because like Twitter is just another LinkedIn, basically. And so I saw my boss at the time, Jenny Hahn, she like posted something about like social media coordinator role. And I was like, that sounds dope. So I hit him with the eye emoji. And so my Wilson boss was like, you want us to put in a good word for you? And I was like, I know I ain't gonna get the job, but absolutely. So fortunately, my cover letter, my resume, and all that was already like solid. It was already set in stone. So I sent that through, and they were like, "Yeah, they recommended starting building relationships with current employers there." And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You have a LinkedIn?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And they're like, "Start having Zoom calls with people that work in within that department, even if it's not that department. It could be EQ, player development, player personnel, whatever the case is. Start building those relationships." And I was like, bet. So I just went on LinkedIn and saw people that worked, for the Rams. And I never forget, I was meeting with a guy named Jock McClendon. He used to work with player personnel and player development for the Rams. So we ended up talking, and I'll never get the last things he said is, I'll put in a good word to Marissa, who was like our boss. And I was like, he could have just said he'll put in a good word, but he like name dropped. So I was like, oh, he's like dead serious. He's dead serious. And so about 4 or 5 days later, I get a call, and I'm like, yo, you're in line for an interview. And I never forget when I had my interview, they had over like 800 applicants, and they narrowed the group down to like 10. So I was like, damn, the fact that I made the top 10 and I didn't really have much of a paper trail in the world of sports media, that says a lot about what Wilson said about me. So shout out to them. And so interview with that goes great. So I end up not getting the coordinator role, but they tell me about another role that they're opening up called social media and design, which is perfect because graphic design was my major at Florida. So I'll be able to implement my major and also what I've been doing, for the last couple of years at that time, social media, and implement those together. So ended up getting that role. I I don't want to say that job was made for me, but it's like I don't see any other team doing the whole social media and design thing. So, to each their own, believe what you want to believe. But at the time I was like, yeah, they had to do that for your boy.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
from that moment on, man, I learned quick, man. I mean, they move so quick, and that's one thing about sports, man. It's like you better get used to it, man. Them off days are just as slim as when you would do an athlete, if not slimmer. Because I'm telling you, it's like you got to be on the loop for like, let's say, God forbid, something happens at like midnight, someone gets traded. You got to be on top of it. So, sleep is really for the weak if you work in sports media. So,
yeah.
yeah, that's how it all worked out. And it's funny because I remember like as I was moving, my mom, she like joked around. She was like, "Watch the Rams win the Super Bowl." And the crazy thing was, like, looking on paper, it was like, yeah, they got enough talent. And then when they brought in Von Miller and OBJ, I was like, oh, this is like Super Bowl or bust year for them. So when they ended up winning it, like my mom was the first woman I called. I was like, Mom, can you believe this? Like my 1 year out here in LA, and they win the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl was in LA. It's like you want to talk about storybook, man. And so yeah, and I'll never forget. So when I announced that I was leaving, a couple people that I was friends with from the NBA, they reached out and they were like, "Hey, we saw you're leaving the Rams. We see you're a free agent. You want to come work for us?" And I was like, "Absolutely," because one, it's back on the East Coast. I was trying to get back on the East Coast anyway, and two, it's up there in Jersey, right by New York City. And I was like, I've always wanted to live in a big city up here on the East Coast because LA is just its own world.
Oh yeah.
So literally went from one job to another job. and then I worked for the NBA, and then these boys took me to the finals, man. And I still haven't really understood why they took me, but I'm so thankful for it, man, because I was the new guy. So the whole time, like what we were talking about at that panel, man, it was like, man, that imposter syndrome was kicking, dog. Because I was like, man, it's like how did we get here, man? Like how do we get here? Like not only am I at the finals, but I get to watch my favorite NBA player, who I grew up watching, Steph Curry, just like cook the Celtics, and I'm just like, this is unbelievable. This is like unreal, and so yeah, man, just like one thing just happened after another. And like I said, I'm still trying to figure out like why all this is happening. And it's just like I ain't looking back now, but it's like, man, you want to talk about a life, a crazy life. But yeah, no, it's been surreal, man.
Yeah. Now, I also read that while you were with the Rams, when Odell got there, he kind of was helping you create some more creative TikToks and just kind
Oh
of help
yeah.
with the business. Talk about that, man. 'Cause I feel like from the outside looking in, Odell seems like a super creative person. He always dances. It seems like he's super down to earth. So what was that experience? Number one, like getting to know Odell on a day to day, but also having him. What kind of creative sauce was he giving you to help, with the TikToks?
So I will say this because it was definitely, it was a team of us. So myself, Christy, Patty, and then our new boss Kurt, because Jamie had left at the beginning of the season. So it was really a team effort. So what would happen is when OBJ got there, Christy was actually in charge of him like landing and arriving. And then once he got to practice, that was sort of like when we told him like, yo, give me a one-hander real quick. Give me like a no-look snag, because like, bro, his hands are like, they're massive, man. Like they're like 2XL glove sized hands. And I'm like, yo, let me get them one hand. Or like do your little dancey dance. And it just got to a point where we just told him like, yo, man, just be you, and we'll do our part. And fortunately, his social media team was like really, really cool with us. And so when he got to the team, that alone gained us like 200,000 new followers.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we got him. And then of course when we got Vaughn, so I was like, yo, OBJ, just be you, do your thing, and the rest will take care of itself. And sure enough, man, he was having the game of his life at the Super Bowl, man, before he got hurt. Like if he didn't get hurt, he probably would have got Super Bowl MVP, in all honesty. He was cooking the Bengals.
Yeah.
And so he pretty much told him to be you. And like we were just posting OBJ, Cooper Cup, Aaron Donald, just Ramsey, nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. And it was crazy because like that was actually one of my goals for the season, was to get our TikTok to 1 million. So I think going in, we were just at 400 or maybe 450. I don't remember. And bro, you want to talk about storybook, bro? We hit 1 mil on Super Bowl Sunday, literally the last game of the season. So I was just like, yeah, man, it's written. It's written. So it all worked out, man. And shout out OBJ, dog. He was really cool. That whole team, they were really great to us. Never gave us problems because one, they were winning. They were always winning, so it was never really an issue. But yeah, no, OBJ, he's the man. He's the man.
That's tough. Second thing I wanted to ask you were saying like obviously you were always doing the TikTok content and doing your memes stuff on the side, but then you said it kind of ended up being a conflict of interest with the
Mm.
NBA when you started getting brand deals and stuff like that. And I want to touch on that because I feel like a lot of people may not really understand that idea, right? You have an NBA who has corporate sponsors and brands that they partner with. So now when you become an employee of the NBA as a freelancer, right, and you're getting brand deals from other companies, you can't work with their competitors. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I want to give you opportunity to kind of expound on that for yourself. Number one, what that looked like for you, and then number two, how you kind of balance it. Like, all right, well, do I have to sacrifice my own personal finances on this freelancing side because I have a corporate job, or was it like, you know what, man, I think I gotta just leave this corporate setting to where I can just create freely and do my thing. Like, how did you kind of balance those things? And then just for the viewers who may not understand that landscape, could you give us a little bit of insight into that?
Yeah, for sure. So the thing was, it wasn't even competitors that I was doing content with. It was genuine partnerships with the NBA that I just so also happened to partner with. Like I was partnering with like Gatorade, huge sponsor for the NBA. I was partnering with Shop God, which is a licensee of the NBA. I was partnering with golly, I was partnering with like Crocs at the time. I was partnering with who else was I partnering with at the time? I think Prize Picks at the time. And so basically I remember it was around December. And so it was my off day. And my mom, I never forget, my mom called me and she was like, hey man, you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. What have you heard? And she was like, yeah, some old guy from the NBA called about you. And I was like, am I getting a contract? Like, what's going on here? So she's like, nah, he seemed like he worked in corporate. And I was like, okay, what old guy that I know was, I didn't know. So, excuse me. So I ended up getting called by the same guy. Sorry, got to clear my throat.
Good.
But I get a call from the same guy, and he's like, "Hey, is this Clifford?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, so we got an issue with your partnership stuff." And I was like, okay, who? And they're like, "Yeah, you're partnering with Gatorade, GLD." And the thing is, they had these like out of work forms. So it's like, if you're partnering with like a brand, there's a form you got to fill out to submit to them, which I would always do, no problem. So I would create content thinking, okay, it's gonna get approved because I'm a project employee. It ain't nothing crazy.
Right.
So he calls me and he's like, hey, basically, got an issue. It's a conflict of interest. You're posting stuff for this brand. We're also posting stuff for this brand. We can't have our employees also doing that because it's like a conflict of interest. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, why is it a conflict of interest if I'm just one, a project employee, and two, I'm not like, it's not affecting y'all sales or nothing like that. But it was just really more of a corporate business thing, which I understand now. So he tried to hit me with the cold stuff. He was like, man, all right, look, all right, you must cease all of your sponsored content with, I think it was with GOD. And I was like, you mean stop posting? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, they try to hit me with the big words. I'm like, bro, I know what that means, dog. Like, come on, I'm educated.
Right.
And so, all right. So I talked to my rep at GLD and I was like, yo, man, I was like, hey, do you know so-and-so over here? And they were like, yeah, we know him. I was like, yeah, well, he just reached out to me saying like it's a conflict of interest if I post stuff with y'all. And I was getting good money from GLD. So he was like, give me 5 minutes. So I'm like, oh, damn. So I'm either about to get super fired or he's going to come up with a resolution. So he sends me a text. He goes, here, sign this. Check my email. I ain't gonna say how much it was on this new contract with GOD, but it was light years more than the NBA. So I was like, I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice because I'm like literally gonna triple what I made at the NBA. So I was like, I don't have a. I didn't want to leave the NBA. Mind you, I did not want to leave the NBA at all. I loved it, loved the people, like the people there really made it a fun experience. Like I didn't want to leave it at all. But at the same time, that was really God telling me, like, yo, you got to make a transition. You got to make a grown man decision. So I prayed about it for like a couple days or so. And then I gave him my 2 weeks notice. That was the most depressing hour and a half typing that 2 weeks notice because I did not want to leave. But at the same time, I didn't really have a choice because it was like if I'm getting paid more to do this from the personal side, which I always wanted to go back to at some point, it just happened much more earlier. Like I was planning on starting my own thing this year, really, but it just happened a year earlier. So I was like, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. So ended up leaving. And fortunately though, my connections with the NBA and my relationships, those never went away. Those never went away. Like we always stay in contact and it's always good energy when I see them. Like when I saw them at these events for also weekend, like it made me emotional because I was like, yo, these are my people. Like I used to work with y'all. And it's like I'm glad to see them, still doing their thing, still doing good, and vice versa. But yeah, man, that's one thing about it. Like conflict of interest, it's an MFer. It's an MFer in the corporate world. So gotta choose your direction, gotta choose your career carefully. Fortunately, like I said, fortunately for me, I had already built a foundation. So it was like, okay, they gave me this opportunity. So I was able to just take it. For newcomers in the content game doing the personal stuff, they might not be as lucky. So I would just say like it's God's timing, man. Like he's really been doing wonders for the last few years or so. And like I said, it's all worked out. Been doing my own thing for a year now and haven't looked back.
Yeah. I think that, we had infamous Casey on 2 weeks ago. She's never like basketball creator in the space, influencer. And we were talking to her just about like this topic of just like, I think a lot of people don't really understand the amount of money that is in content creation, man, and working with brands. You know what I mean? And the fact that you said a brand offered you triple like what you could make at the NBA is crazy. You know what I mean? So what I want to know is you don't got to say like the brand's name or anything like that, because we don't want to get my guy in trouble. He's a business. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
some of these brands are offering crazy bags to do campaigns, collaborations, stuff like that. Can you just give us an insight into that? And then I guess, were you surprised when you started hearing these numbers? Like when you hear a brand offer you X amount of money to do X post or X campaign, like you ever be like, damn, like they paid me this much to do a video? Like, how did like I feel like it's people don't really understand that, because a lot of people will laugh, oh, you an influencer? Oh yeah, all right. Until they see them checks come in. You like, yeah, all right.
I was flabbergasted, man. I was flabbergasted, dog. I mean, for one, because I was already making good money from the TikTok app platform itself, but then when I started getting these deals like with Rain Energy, Wendy's was like I was driving. I stopped the car when they told me the amount that I was gonna do for Wendy's. Like, I'm talking about like Wendy's. I was doing stuff for Auto Trader. I'm doing some stuff right now with like Dove. I'm doing some stuff. I've done some stuff with Prize Picks in the past. I did stuff. I'm still doing stuff here and there with with the Gatorades of the world. And I actually did stuff with TurboTax for the Super Bowl. I did stuff for ESPN for the College Football National Championship. It's like, dude, when I see these contracts and I like put pen to paper and I'm just looking at these numbers. Oh, and like NFL Sunday Ticket, Madden Mobile, and I'm just like, dude, like it's one of those things where it's like, this is where our money's going, but I'm not complaining. I'm not gonna complain. But I'm like, dude, where is this money coming from, dog? Because it's like, like I'll just tell you, like the Wendy's one, that thing was like 40. I was like, yo, for how you said 2 videos for how long? Yo, man, it's like, come on now. It's like, let's lock in.
Yeah, yeah.
But nah, dude, it's crazy. It's like, back in the day, I was fine if I made a couple $100 from a video.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny now because it's like my agents kind of put me in that position where it's like, yeah, he's always telling me no less than 10K, no less than. I'm like, dude, you understand, bro? I'm cool with 8K, dog. Like you don't understand. like, man, give me 8K, man. That's rent, dog. That's rent for a couple months, dog. Like you understand? But he always tells me, he's like less than 10K, no less than 10K. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let you keep doing your thing, big dog.
Yeah.
Me, I'm fine with like 5, 6, 7. I'm fine with that. I'm so fine. But he's always putting that in my mind. So that's why I think I look at it a lot different, because I think for me, I have such a respect for the business now, for the business side of it, being on the guy behind the camera, seeing how the NBA would like work with influencers and stuff like that. So I understand, I get it. So that's why it like blows me when like some of these big influencers, when they complain about all these brand deals, I'm like, I'm like, you don't know where this could like lead you. Like this could lead you to something, greater than you ever. I give you an example, like my friend Carson Roney. She's been in the game for about as long as I have. She literally had a commercial on TV for Fast Twitch and Gatorade. Like I literally was laying down and I stood up. I was like, "Yo, is that Carson?" And then it was just like, it's like, "Yo, man, like the opportunity." And she's always been nice to me. Like she's dope. And I was like, "Yo, this is." I'm like, you can't pass up these opportunities, man. That's why it be blowing me. Like when people say, like, no, I'm not gonna do DraftKings. I'm not gonna do Prize Picks. I'm not gonna do so. I'm like, you're not? I was like, shoot, give me all the deals, bro. Because it's like for me, this is like a business. This is a career now. So it's like I feel like I have a more, I don't want to say respectful approach, but respectful approach, because I'm like, yo, these guys are taking time out of their busy schedule to want to work with me. So the least I can do is say, like, hell yeah, I want to work with y'all too. Like if I say no, that's like a slap in the face. And the thing too about it that they don't realize is these brands talk. They might be competitors, man, but these brands, they talk. They're like, yeah, nah, he didn't want to do stuff with me. You don't want to do stuff with him. Like they chirp the same way they do in sports media. They chirp. So when you get these endorsements, man, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it, because what they're really starting to do now is they're really starting to give creators a free bandwidth. You know, a year or so ago, they would tell you what to say, like here, say so and so. Be sure to say this and that, X, Y, and Z. Now they're giving you the free bandwidth to be your authentic self in these videos. That's why I love working. That's why I love working with brands so much, because they give me the opportunity to write, storytell, edit, create, but in my own unique way, rather than it just being the same typical thing like for a limited time, get your so and so. Like you can't. I'm like, I'm good on that. Let me put my own spill. So I think that's why I think creators' business are starting to go more hand in hand, because they give you the free will to do what you want to do as far as content's concerned for their brand. So that's what I'm saying. Like when you get these deals, do them. Now if they don't apply to you and your brand, that's a totally different thing. Like for example, me, like if someone asked me, it's funny, like someone asked me to do something the other day for um it was basically like an eyeliner joint where it's like I don't do eyeliner. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not in that field. So I was like, I appreciate you. This is not really like my line of work, my line of audience. Like they wouldn't get it.
Right.
So that's the only time where I'll be like, but if it's like something like I said, Wendy's or Burger King, Wendy's, Raise Cane, I love to eat. Give it to me. Give it. Give it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's tough. So my question is, how do you? Because again, one thing that you have to deal with is you got the net 30s, net 60s, net 90s sometimes. So how do you, when you get these large lump sums of money, right? How are you being able to save that money, budget that money? So like you said, you can't make sure your bills are paid, because sometimes you might do, one or two deals, and that might be your only work for the next maybe month or two, depending on the workflow of what's coming in. You might have high seasons where you're getting a bunch of brand deals. You might have a little dry season where you might not be doing too much work, but the bills still coming every month. How has that been able to aspect been for you dealing with the finances?
Yeah, so for me, I've always been a firm believer in you reap what you sow. So when I'm creating, I always just, and I've always believed in the man upstairs is like, yo, it's like if I get one or two deals a month, I'll be able to garner income from Instagrams of the world, Snapchats of the world, the TikToks, the YouTubes of the world. It's just really, like I said, for me, it's just about like creating content and just creating nonstop, just nonstop. So that's what I've been doing really the last few months. I've really been trying to get the Snapchat game up. I'm trying to get the YouTube game up, the Instagram game up. Twitter is pretty much like free will. I mean, I honestly I only go on Twitter to see how people react to certain things. But
Yeah.
for me, and I really for anybody that's watching, it's just a matter of really having financial discipline. And it's really hard to garner, especially like out of college. Like, we're all broke in college. And so when you're in college, like you spend money on food, parties, books. That's pretty much and gas. That's pretty much it. So, when you get into the real world and you start dealing with like bills, you start dealing with like, insurance. I feel like at least for some people, it just happens naturally. They're able to transition into that next chapter of their life and just transition like, okay, I gotta put so and so in here into my Roth IRA. I gotta put some money here for my savings. I gotta put money here for rent, utilities, gas. But like it's really just about having financial discipline. Like for me, um, like I said, I used to be terrible in college with my money. Terrible. And then when I started seeing how expensive things are, like, bro, like when I saw couches were going for like 1,100, I was like, just to sit down, and I just naturally started looking at money a whole lot different. And that's one thing about it is it's like when you get these deals, like 40K is not 40K. There's a little thing called Internal Revenue Service, aka Uncle Sam, where he's like, all right, you make how much? All right, yo, let me go ahead and take my not to mention like your agent might take 15, 20, 25% depending on who you sign with. So it's like, let me go ahead and take that from you. So
Off that.
yeah, let me go ahead and grab that. So that's why, like, and it's a dope thing now because I look at money so differently. So it's like there was one little era, I would say like around October of last year, where I had like five deals in a row. And I was like, hey, I got taxes, man. Slow down. Like
Yeah.
not really slow down, but I'm like, well, these taxes about to be hitting different this year, man. They about to hit different. So, and fortunately, my mom, she's retired, but she views herself as my financial advisor. So I let her do her thing. And so she's always checking. She's like, "Do you have so and so in your?" I'm like, "Mom, I literally have triple that. I'm fine. I'm just fine." And so she's always kept me on my toes, especially with my money now, because like I said, it's easy, especially in this game. When you're getting this money, it's easy to spend your money on BS. Like you get you a nice little chain, you know what I'm saying? Might even, depending on how much you make, get you a little whip, you know what I'm saying? Like it's easy. It's easy to like lose it. But she always is bringing me back to life. She's like, hey, reap what you sow. So keep creating, keep earning, keep saving. So that way when Uncle Sam comes rolling around, heck, he's rolling around right now with the 1099s and stuff. You make sure you put all your deductions, your expenses and stuff in, so you have nothing to worry about. And then next year, you just do it all over again. Just be even smarter, because as the numbers go up and the content goes up, the money goes up, the income goes up. So you just gotta be smart with your money. So that's one thing I would say. I don't mean to quote Marshawn Lynch, but man, take care of y'all chicken. Take care of y'all chicken, because like I said,
Your mental.
yeah, man, because I'm telling you, like, you can be making money, and then next thing you know, that money runs dry. It's the same thing with like professional athletes, man. It's like they're making all these millions of dollars, playing. It's like, but when they retire, it runs dry. That's why you see a lot of these guys go bankrupt, because they don't know how to take care of their money. So take care of y'all chicken. Put
Yeah.
your money in the right places. And one thing, I don't mean to sound like an old guy, but man, it's like these put them in an IRA, so that way when you're retired, you ain't gotta work. You ain't got to work. You have enough money in there where you're spoken for. You're taken care of. So yeah, man, take care of y'all chicken. Take care of y'all chicken.
Facts. So I'm hearing you talk about this. You talking about getting Snapchat popping, YouTube popping, Instagram, TikTok, right? How do you like? Do you have a team? Do you like outsource some of these things to other people? Because for me, I'm like, bro, I don't think people understand the amount of legwork that takes editing, right? For YouTube, for TikTok, for Instagram, for Snapchat. So how do you go about creating that content on a day-to-day basis? Do you have a team that you're outsourcing? All right, boom, you handle this. I'll pay you in the back end. Whoop, whoop. Like, how do you make all this stuff go, bro? Because I think it's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That last thing you said, do you pay them? Hell no. Hell. So yeah, no, I mean, like I said, and honestly too, like I'm so just like used to just like, posting. Fortunately though, there's these platforms and things that allow you to post the same thing on different platforms at the same time. And honestly, I learned a lot of this stuff from like just working in sports. So I definitely have a greater balance. And so what I usually tend to do is I'll just all of my all of my OG content from like TikTok, I'm starting to push that on Snapchat and YouTube. So that way, years from now, the stuff I'm doing now, it'll be fresh, in a couple years on those other platforms. Because people don't realize you may have the same audience on platforms, but it's like an entire different group of people. So they may see it here, but they might not see it on YouTube. They might not see it on Snap. They might not see that. They
Right.
might not see it. So for me, it's just a matter of just like, okay, how many times am I going to post a day? Where am I posting? And what's the most efficient way about going about doing this? And so for me, especially now that I'm really trying to get it pushing, like YouTube and Snapchat, I would say I post on there, I'd say 2 to 3 times a day. If I'm really feeling it, like 5 at most.
Wow.
But they always say to keep it to keep it pushing. And
Five
so
times a day on YouTube and Snapchat?
it's you know what, it's actually not that bad. So basically it's like the YouTube
Sure.
shorts, spotlight. That's basically their form of TikTok, and that's what's really being pushed right now. Like long form is always going to do long form like work. It's always going to be fine, but they're really pushing that vertical content. So what I do, right now I just garner some of my retro OG content, and I'm just pushing it that way. And what I do is a lot of times, usually like on Saturdays or Sundays, like my schedule's been so off the last few days to the All-Star weekend, but I usually schedule my stuff way in advance. Like, okay, this stuff's gonna go out so and so. This stuff's gonna go out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever the case is. And while that's happening in the background, I'm creating new and organic. So I'm playing chess in a way. I'm playing chess, thinking ahead, like, okay, this stuff's gonna like hold it down. Let me make my new stuff so we can get that ball rolling. So I'm always just in tune and always just pushing new content on those platforms. So that way, when I'm looking at a year from now, I'll be like, dang, we really doing it out here. So
Yeah.
it's really just about having like a balance. And yeah, like hopefully I get to a point one day where I'm comfortable enough to pay people for those roles. But right now I think I'm okay. Like matter of fact, I think my agent just hired a coordinator, but I was like, yeah, see, that's you, big dog. I'm fine for now. Give me a year or two, maybe, but I'm fine right now. I'm fine.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, I'm listening to this, right? And I'm somebody who is, I'm an athlete myself. I'm still playing. I'm trying to do this media thing with the podcast and creating content, things like that, man. And for me, I'm looking at somebody like yourself, man, somebody that's like, bro, like, you're living the dream, man. Like, as somebody who's been an athlete and has transitioned into this content space, you know what I mean? Is making money as a career. You know what I mean? Like, so many people would love to be able to have time freedom in your own schedule and pop on that All-Star weekend and actually be paid to be there, like make money creating content, going to events, you know what I mean? Like, to show up in these places. So for me, my question for you is like, what would your advice be to somebody who's trying to get into this space, man, trying to build a brand as an athlete, trying to monetize a platform and make money via branding, right? Like, what would your advice be to somebody, who's trying to get into this space?
I would say don't ever shy away from criticism. That's number one, because a lot of times creators they get criticism and they're like, who does he or she think he or she is, and so on so. So don't be afraid to take criticism. Two, don't be super dependent on your agency or your representation. Go out there and build connections for yourself too. Don't just depend on your agent. Three, don't don't abuse the power of the numbers, because I've seen many times where these cats out here, they'll say like, oh, it's okay, I'm TikTok famous, I got so and so pop. It's like, you don't understand. This whole social media is its own thing. When you go into the real world, they don't care about, well, maybe some, but for the most part, they don't care about that. So don't let the numbers, don't let this, we'll say what it is. Don't let the clout abuse your mentals. Don't let it abuse your ego. The people that support you now, the people that you have in your circle now, keep them, because they'll support you in the long run. These other influencers can say that they support you, and then they can stab you in the back, just months, maybe a year or so, or even days later. I have genuinely seen it happen. And another thing I would say is block it's, and like I said, it's hard, easier said than done, but block out the negativity. If you're genuinely passionate about this content and genuinely passionate about what you're doing, and you want to make a career out of it, who cares what the naysayers have to say? In all honesty, who cares what your friends have to say? In all honesty, it's your life, it's your career. And kind of like what we were saying at the at the panel, man, it's like something that Shaquille O'Neal said. If nobody can influence somebody, then the nobody wins. And so for me, it's like, okay, I'm creating this content. Granted, it's for an audience, but it's like, if they don't like it, okay, then it's not for them. Nobody's perfect. Like no influencer, like no entertainer on this planet is perfect. And that's one thing I think that newcomers don't realize. It's like, yeah, you might get praise in the beginning of your journey, but it's like you'll see it gets harder and harder, but you garner a greater appreciation for it. And this one goes without saying. Some don't do it, some swear that they do, but just like I said, just be you, man. Just be you. Don't change for nobody. Don't let none of this get to you. Don't, like, just be you and have fun doing it. A lot of creators, they don't have fun doing it. They're just like, all right, let's knock it out today. Let's just do it. If you really enjoy doing it, it doesn't feel like work to you. It won't feel like work to you. And then when you start getting invited to these events, this is one thing I'll say. When outlets and partnerships and media and deals, when they invite you to these events, damn it, go. I don't care how tired you are. I'll give you a prime example. So this Sunday, we were doing this thing for this organization called Run It Back. They partnered with Jordan, they partnered with USA Basketball. And so four of us were supposed to go. Only two of us ended up, because granted, we all had a long night Saturday. But in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I had a long night, but I'm not missing this opportunity. Like, I'm not. So I swear to you, I heard them say this because like when we got there, they had bags laid out with J's. They gave us like a Jordan like double bag, all that good stuff. And I'm like, in my mind, I was just like, dang, these guys, they really like blew an opportunity. And I swear to you, I heard one of them say, yeah, we're not inviting these two out here next year. And I was like, oh my God, they don't even realize the opportunity that they just blew. Cause bro, they had out bags, they gave us shoes, they had it all set, laid out for us. Just to play just to play basketball, just to show up and play basketball. Like, you see how unfair this is? To show up and play basketball, we get a free pair of J's, a bag, merch, you name it, just to show up and play basketball. So when these brands reach out to you, damn it, show up. Show up. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, you might be hungover. A little liquid IV will help you, but you know what I'm saying? Show up. That's just a matter of just showing up. Because if you don't, that could be one opportunity that you look back later and you're like, I really blew that one. I really blew that one. So, and it was actually funny because like I remember seeing a story about Shaq, and he was like, back in the day, Starbucks had offered him to do something back when he was with the Magic. He didn't take it. And now they're like a $1 billion company. And he said that's one of his biggest partnership financial regrets. So it's like when you get these opportunities, take them. Please take them. I urge you. I'm begging you to take them. Show up. That's what I would tell any aspiring creator for sure.
Yeah. That's love, man. I got my notepad out myself, man, taking notes, man. So I gotta ask you, man, because I've been throwing this meme around in group chats for a long time, man. A win is a win. So you touched on it a little bit earlier, man, but I kind of want to talk to you about that because I feel like that was a meme that I feel like is personal to a lot of people, man. You know what I mean? So kind of give us, I guess, number one, you told us a little about the backstory, how you said Florida beat a team barely that they should have won, but were you surprised with how viral it went? And like that's like a timeless meme. That joint is still getting thrown out there to this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you to be kind of the face behind that? You know what I mean? And kind of how that whole thing took off just on a whim.
At the time when I said it, I was very surprised. I was very surprised. But I think looking at it basically a year and a half later, I would say I'm not surprised. And the reason why is that's just the beauty of social media in a nutshell. You know, you just create, and you just never know. You just like it always keeps you guessing. You just never know what's gonna take off, what's gonna blow. And I didn't even realize it was viral until my friends started texting me and they were like, yo, is that you saying that? And I was like, yeah, I just made that video a couple days ago. And they would tell me like, yo, Dwight Howard used it. Jimmy Butler used it. Mia Khalifa used it. And it was just like at the time, I was just like, I was blown away. But like I said, now looking back at it, I'm like, that's social media for you. You just never ever know. And so like it was cool at the time because like you would hear it like that's I would never tell someone like, hey, like I said that. Like if I hear it in public, it's so dope to just kind of sit back and just like hear them say it, or like see them doing a video. Like I've caught a couple people doing videos with it. As a matter of fact, in Seattle, I caught a couple people saying it. So I was like, wow, like it's really cool to know that in a way you're part of meme culture. So from that regard, I'm really appreciative of it. But like now I just sort of like sit back and reflect, and it's just like, man, it just always keeps me guessing. It's like there's gonna be a day where I just say something natural and it just happens again. I don't know when, but it might happen again. So when I see it now and how much it's taking off, this is one of those things where like I'm so appreciative of it. And like I said, I honestly get a kick out of people still saying it now. I, I may say it here and there, but some people think I say it every day. I'm like, I say it like on rare occasion. But yeah, no, seeing the way it's transcended now, it's humbling, really. It really is.
So my question to you is like, when you have a viral moment like that, right? Or you have like that, you mentioned the trend that took you to a milli, you had to ask
Yeah.
home, keep on, using it and stuff like that, right? I feel like people, and this is like in music even, right? You might have an artist, Bryson Tiller, come out with the Trap Soul, Drake, Take Care, Rod Wave, Soulfly, but then you got to feel that pressure to like do it again. You know what I mean?
Do it again.
Drake
Right. Do it
always
again.
says, "How you hype off one track? Do that shit again." You know what I mean? Like
Right.
so,
Right.
when you have that viral moment, right? What is going through your mind? Do you ever feel that pressure? Like, damn, I gotta stay relevant. Damn, I gotta try to replicate this. How do I, you know what I mean? Like, how do you deal with that mental battle?
See, fortunately for me, I had been in the game. I've been in the game long enough to where it's like, yeah, this may be a trend or what I'm known for, but it's like let me lure them into what I genuinely do or what I genuinely did. So I never really looked at it as an opportunity to like just follow up. I looked at it more as an opportunity of like, yo, now I have a real chance to show these people what I do, what I was doing before this thing took off. So the whole win is the one thing, I really just let it sit. I'm not gonna lie, the whole Lakers need a center thing. The reason I was running it for so long was because I was genuinely getting a kick out of it the more I did it. I was like, it's like, dang, it's like that's kind of funny. Or like, dang, what are we doing? So I knew I was gonna be okay when I started posting like my regular football stuff, my like, black TikTok stuff, family stuff, lifestyle stuff, and people would just be buried in the comment section talking about stop doing this, dog. The Lakers need a center. And some people will like genuinely get a kick out of it. And so like I'm bringing both worlds together. And like you want to talk about storybook, man. Like when I started like doing the whole center thing, I had like 500K. And so like 500K of my followers, they knew me for football. So this other 500K from basketball, you bring both of those worlds together, man. It's like, okay, this is magical. And so for me, I didn't want to run the trend super super duper dry, but I wanted to keep it going as long as I continued and genuinely enjoyed it. See, that's the thing. That's the effed up thing about trends. It's like you can do it as long as you want, but it's like the reward is temporary. Like it's very temporary. So and I'm like, yeah, like I'll do this for a while, but after a while, I'll kind of come back to reality a little bit, do my own natural stuff. Like I'll still do it like here and there. I got element of surprise, if you will. So like I may do one once every like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 2 months, 3 months for me. Like I did one yesterday. That was the first one I've done in it's February. Yeah, it's the first one I've done since like October. So it's like I'm doing what I naturally do, but I'm like, okay, I want to kind of like remind them, like, yo, this is how we got here. This is how we got here. And so yeah, one thing that I'm not a fan of is when people say that I got famous or that's the only reason that I got famous was because the win is a win or the Lakers need this. I'm like, hold on now, hold on. I don't encourage people to scroll down. Just scroll down to the beginning. That wasn't even like those were. I don't think you realize those were accidents. Those were accidents. That was not intended. That was not on purpose. Like those were accidents. If you scroll down, look at all my football stuff, you'll see like, yo, I've been doing this for a long time. So I think the more I shift back into the stuff I'm doing, like my lifestyle stuff, they're like, oh, okay, like this guy does it indeed do more than just the center stuff and even win is a win. So just being able to kind of like implement all three of those worlds in one now, it's the coolest thing ever, really. Especially when kids like they'll recognize me either for football, the Lakers stuff. Like it's really cool to have like all those worlds kind of unite like that.
Yeah, that's tough. So this is something that I feel like, I'm listening to you talk, and I think I deal with this too, man. It's like when it comes to this I bet you as a freelancer, as a creator, right? You have moments where it's like, I wake up some days, I'll be like, man, I want to be a model. I'm like, man, I
Mhm.
want to be an actor. I want to act. I want to be in a movie. And I
Yeah.
want to get this content space. And I feel like in today's society, man, there's so many different things that you can do. There's so many different avenues that you can explore, right? I can see you in a commercial tomorrow, or I can see you doing a cameo in a movie and acting and be like, man, that's Cliff. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, what do you feel like for yourself, man? Do you have like a dream, like, man, 10 years from now, this is where I kind of want to take this content space where it's, production company, whether it's acting, right? Like, what does success look like for you, 10 years down the line, for Clifford Taylor?
You said it best. Acting, man. Acting. And the crazy thing is, I would have never said that years ago. I would have never, ever, ever said that. But it goes back to all the connections that I made throughout the years and them pretty much just giving me insights on this business because this industry is a business, man. And when you could do skits and you could do branded content until the cows come home, but it's like you can really turn that into a career. Like, I mean, hell, you're looking at people. I always forget Addison Rae. You know what I'm saying? She was a TikToker. She was a dancer. She wasn't even an actress. She was a dancer. She got a Netflix movie. She's in movies like, and it's like, okay, I'm not saying I can act or anything like that, but it's like at least I can have like the blueprint to be like, okay, if I want to do this, here's who I can reach out to for advice. This is what I can do. This is how I'm gonna do it. Like, I I don't see myself doing the whole streaming thing. That's Kai's. Kai got that down to an art form.
Yeah.
But storytelling. I want to get into some like animations. Like one of my favorite YouTubers ever. His name is Swoozy, and he does like animated stories on his life, like things that have happened in his liip. And it's like, all right, I got to grab a design manager. I have enough stories to storytell and talk about it because that's one thing about me. Like I love storytelling. Like I could do it all day if you let me. So I definitely see myself being more of a writer, a storyteller, an actor, and if I'm really pushing it, director. But that's really, really pushing it. So I definitely want to get on TV rather than just being a fan, just being like number one, number one. Like anybody can do that, but I want to be on TV. I'm trying to get my own fast twitch commercial like Carson, dog. Like she was on that. I'm like, yeah, I want that. I want that at some point. So definitely getting on TV and hopefully one day movies, and then we just keep this ball rolling. But doing it the right way, not letting all this stuff get to me. So that's one thing my grandma always used to say. She was like, always keep your head down, keep your head down, baby, keep your head down. And so I'm like, all right, you're right. So like I said, there were times this weekend where I was like, it's kind of getting to me, but it's like let me pull back, let me pull back. So yeah, I definitely want to get into TV. Like I said, I would, to be honest, I probably wouldn't have even said that last year, but yeah, now for sure.
So we're always in the manifesting, speaking things into existence, man. What would it mean for you one day to have, a movie, man? You're like, yo, star Clifford Taylor, man, and have your face and your name, on them credits, man. Like, what would that mean to you?
Man, that would mean all the all the work, hardships, times where I, thought about giving up, but persevered. All those times of just like creating nonstop, whether it's in my living room, my office, my bedroom, it was all worth it. Like it's one thing if you're just doing all this stuff just to do it, but like, and that's the thing too. People they want to be viral today. They want to be viral yesterday. But the thing is, like this stuff takes work. Like that's what people don't realize. Like Phantom, Kai Cenat, all them AMP folks, like RDC, they've been doing this for almost 8 years now. For years, they've been doing this. So that's one thing for me is like if I can look a few years from now, and I was be like, man, it was really all worth it. Like I really put in all my effort into this world, into this business, and it gave me all of that energy back, and it gave me all of that, all of the rewards back. Kind of like saying, like going back to what I was saying, like you reap what you sow. It's all coming full circle. So that for me, and especially the day that I get like my house, have a family and all that. That's when I know it's like okay, it all worked out. It was God's plan for real.
Hell yeah. That's tough. We're gonna go ahead and play that clip back. You know what I mean? Once that happens, then we're gonna throw it up there like, hey man, listen, we spoken and took this on the What's in Your Bag podcast, man. Show. But man, we could be up here talking all day, man. So I wanna just get into a little fun segment that we do, and then we'll wrap it up and get you one out the door, man. Because me and you, we could talk for 2-3 hours up here.
Yeah.
But okay, so I'd like to do this little fun segment, man. It's gonna be a draft. You know what I mean? I think it's fitting that, seeing that you say you want to be an actor, you know what I mean? We're gonna do a draft of our top 5 hood classics, man. Black movies. We got to get a top 5. You know what I mean? So, seeing that this is how we're gonna do it. You know, you get your first round pick, number 1 overall pick. You're the guest, so you go first. Then I'll get my first pick, and then we go 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, till we get the top our respective top 5. All right. So, give me your number 1 pick. Hood classics, man. What's your number 1 pick?
Hood classic. Oh man. There's so many, bro. Like the 90s, people don't realize the 90s was the time.
Man.
I would say I love Training Day. I love Training Day. Training Day. Ain't no top 5 without Juice.
Wait. Hold on. You get 1 pick. Then it's my turn.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, my fault. Yeah.
Hold up.
Training Day for sure.
Train is a good pick. All right, so my number 1 pick, man. I feel like people might say it's simple, but I feel like I can't, for me, in my mind, I can't go hood classics without going Friday.
Right.
The first time anybody, Friday.
Yeah.
See, Friday, if you ain't, listen to this. If you listen to this podcast and you ain't seen Friday, subscribe to the show, give us a thumbs up, close this interview, and go watch Friday right now. It's a must. All 3 of them. Friday, next Friday, Friday after next. Complete that trilogy, and then you will be able to reconvene into the episode. All right. That's my number 1 hood classic, man. The Friday series. Friday, next Friday, man. Number 1 pick.
Man, you can't do Friday without you gotta put the Spike Lee joint in there, Boys in the Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Boys in the Hood.
So is that your second pick?
Yeah, Boys in the Hood.
Okay. Boys in the Hood. That's a classic. That was on my list for sure. See, I'm gonna have to go Juice then for my number 2. I'm gonna have to go Juice then. Because hey, God rest his soul, man. Tupac, man, he did his big one. That's a real hood classic right there, man. Like, I feel like a lot of people ain't seen that movie, man. But Juice, hood classic, man, for sure.
Man, I'm trying to think. Oh man. You know what? I know this might be foreign to some people, man. But you know what movie I used to really love, bro?
What?
Whoop That Trick, Hustle and Flow.
Oh,
that was, man. When they started playing that Whoop That Trick, I was like, yo. Man, Whoop That Trick, man. That's
okay. That's a good one. That's a good one. So this one, I'm gonna do one that I feel like maybe some people I feel like haven't seen before, but I feel like it's a classic story, hood classic, brotherhood. It really encompasses like growing up in the hood, man, the Black experience, man. That's The Wood. The Wood. That's a good one for me, man. So that's gonna be my number 3 pick, The Wood.
Wood, man. See, we hoopers too, man. So I gotta throw in He Got Game in there.
Okay.
My man had them. Listen, when he had them girls all to his left, to his right, we like, oh yeah, this what we gotta do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta throw in He Got Game. He Got Game.
Okay, I like it. My 4th pick, man, you know, I gotta throw in ATL, man. Man. Shout out Nunu Fine Ass. I still love you to this day. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hood classic right there for sure. ATL.
Trying to think. My last one. And it's like it's so 50-50, man. Cause like this is relatively a new one compared to all them classics in the 90s, man. But a movie that I like really, really rocked with was Straight Outta Compton.
Mm.
That movie was something else because like you don't realize how crazy Suge Knight and all them boys were until you see that. And I'm like, oh, this dude right here was to weekend.
Yeah.
So so it's between that or Drumline, dog. Because like I said, I
Oh,
grew up
classic.
playing the drums, bro. Nick Cannon was going crazy. So he's Aldana, crazy work. Like that was man. It's yeah, those it's one of those. But out of those, I would say Straight Outta Compton for sure.
So my last pick is gonna be Baby Boy. Cause I feel like that was a great hook classic Jody and Yvette. I hate you, Jody. I hate you, Yvette.
Yep.
The pops put cuz in the headlock.
That's right. Call for your mom. That's right. Call for your mom.
That's gonna be my fifth pick, man. But if I had an honorable mention, like just like you mentioned, Drumline, my honorable mention is Stomp the Yard, man.
Yep. Yep.
I played in college, man. Shout out to the good A5A, '06 to the good bros. But
Hey,
that was my first look into like the whole fraternity life, man. And Stomp the Yard was another classic that I grew up on. Another staple of the Black community, man. We talk about Black Greek life, the college experience, man. Um, classic, classic for sure, man. We got a good list. We got
yeah.
a great list.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Hey, so if y'all tapped into this, y'all listening, make sure y'all go. If y'all ain't seen any of these movies, these are must sees.
Yeah. Must see. Yeah.
Must
You got
sees. So go
yeah.
tap in for sure, man. That was dope, man. So the last question we always ask all of our guests on the What's in Your Bag podcast is, who should we have next on the show? But the caveat is, whoever you say, I know you say you played center back in the day, man. So we're gonna have to get you in your point guard bag, and you got to give us the assist and help us get them on the show, man.
Hmm. You know what? Get my girl Lolo Pismo. Get Lolo. Get
Got
Lolo. Yeah, she's dope. She's dope, man. She balled at Syracuse, so she know what it is. She's from Cali, but balled in New York. So like yeah, she know what it is. And she a sniper. She a sniper. But
you.
yeah, we got the same agent, all that good stuff. She's like really, 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 really cool people. But yeah, nah, because I saw you already did Jess.
Yeah.
Jess is awesome. But yeah, gotta get Lolo on there.
For sure. We gotta make that happen, man. You gotta make that happen, man. You could give us the good dimer. Or let
Yeah.
would appreciate that for sure.
Oh yeah.
Say less, man. But now this has been a dope episode, man. Definitely dropped a lot of gems, man. We had a lot of fun. It was dope, man, meeting you at All-Star Weekend too, man. I feel like that was a great weekend, great experience, man. Definitely, I was glad to be able to hear your story, at the mental health panel, man, and kick it with you, as well, man. I think it's not often you come around genuine people, you know what I'm saying? Best people who have been able to grow, have a platform, man, but still super down to earth, man, and stay 10 toes to the ground, man. And as somebody who's an athlete myself, I understand and respect the grind and just being able to make that transition into the next career, man. I feel like you've done that seamlessly, and I just want to give you your flowers, man. Shout out to you, man, for being somebody who a lot of people can look up to and try to replicate, man, as far as athletes, but who are authentically themselves, in this next chapter, man. So shout out to you, man. Thank you for coming on, late, man. I look forward to following your journey and your career, man. When you get that movie premiere, man, we're gonna be rooting you on and cheering for you for sure.
And I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
No doubt, no doubt, man. We'll definitely have to stay in touch, man. And like I said, man, once that premiere happens, man, we're gonna drop the clip, man. We've been talking about this for sure. You know what I
Hey.
mean? This has been another episode of the What's in Your Bag podcast presented by Bet Online. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, wherever you're hearing this podcast, man. Until next time, folks, this is going to be my guy, Pull Up Tay, on the outro. Peace.
Suave. I've been in my bag for a while, I'm invincible. Story of a young boss, grinding shit get critical. Calling on my bros one time, cause you special. I had some hoop dreams of right rounds for my mentor. Every target that I shoot is on point like a pencil. Different road, changed relationships, I'm so sorry. Came up from the trenches and I made it, I say hardly. Now